Rock Talk Studio. If you're looking for your next great rock and roll book or documentary to check out, this is the place, because today is the bonus episode where I'm going to look at all the new releases that just came out and titles that have just been announced, and there are some big ones this month. I'm your host, Big Rick. Join me for a look at what's hitting the shelves and the screens, and get ready to rock your reading and viewing list. Going to start off the show with documentary news, because there is some big documentary news this month, and none bigger than Becoming Led Zeppelin, the film that is out now. It just came out and in showing in IMAX theaters and just starting to show in regular theaters. A tremendous look at the beginning of Zeppelin. The first 18 months is shown in this film. I've talked to a lot of people about this. Everybody loves it. I haven't heard one bad thing about it other than they wish there was more to it. This is the biggest release of this year. I'm going to be really surprised if any release in 2025 is going to top Becoming Led Zeppelin. Going to be doing a show about it coming up, but I just wanted to mention it. It's out now. Get out there and see it. This is a tremendous film that I think every rock and roll fan is going to really, really love. And on some other big doc news, this doc already came out. I've already reviewed it, and it is probably one of the biggest films of last year. And that is A Complete Unknown, the Bob Dylan biopic. Timothy Chalamet just doing an incredible, incredible job with not only acting and performing as Bob Dylan, but singing all the songs and playing the guitar and the harmonica. I can't say enough good words about it. I'm completely stunned when I think about what he did in that performance. A tremendous film. And the reason why I'm bringing it up today is because that it is coming out on a streaming platform. Both Apple and Prime are starting to stream it February 25th. That is for rental and for purchase. So you have to purchase to see it. And then also physical hard copies are going to be available April 1st for A Complete Unknown. So that thing is just about to hit streaming and just to even be blown even more wide open. If you haven't seen it yet, I highly suggest that one. I saw a really cool doc the other night that just came out on Hulu about Sly Stone, and it's called Sly Lives: The Burden of Black Genius, and it's directed by Questlove. Really good documentary. Wow, I was blown away by the early stuff that they have here on Sly Stone. That guy was just a genius and way, way ahead of his time. And the documentary is really cool because it looks at his career, but it also looks at what it's like to be a Black performer at that time and to have that much fame and that much recognition, and how it really destroyed him. And he had nowhere to turn for help or guidance. There's a bunch of interviews in the documentary by Questlove with Vernon Reid of Andre 3000, Chaka Khan's in there, George Clinton, and they all really take a deep look at what it's like to be a star, a celebrity, and how that affects you and how it affects Sly Stone. A really incredible documentary. Sly Stone, Sly Lives. I highly recommend that one. Here's another documentary that snuck out towards the end of last year, and I want to mention it here because it's pretty cool. And if you're a Genesis fan or a Phil Collins fan, I would encourage you to check this one out. It's called Phil Collins Drummer First, and it's on Drumeo station on YouTube. And it's Phil Collins sitting down and talking about his career. He's interviewed primarily by his son. And Phil is fragile now. His physical ailments are tough, but he still remembers the Genesis and the solo stuff and talks about it in depth in this documentary. I really enjoyed being able to kind of they go album by album, so you get a kind of a picture of what was going on with Phil Collins and Genesis as it morphed out of the Peter Gabriel stage into him singing, and then into his solo career was really cool. There is one big drawback of this documentary, though. They didn't use any music from Genesis or Phil Collins' solo career. I don't know if they didn't have the rights or what, but I really missed it, because when they're talking about drum fills on certain songs or what Phil was doing, I wanted to hear it. It would have took this documentary over the top for me. I really miss hearing the music. Not sure why it didn't happen, but it's a cool documentary, especially if you're a Phil Collins Genesis fans. I think you're going to find a lot of value in this. So these are the documentaries that are out right now. No news on anything new in the documentary world, but I'll keep it posted. And of course, always finding out information about the Rock Talk Studio Blast. You're not sure about the Blast or what that's about? Let's take a moment and I'll fill you in. All right, the Rock Talk Studio Blast. What is that? That is my newsletter that comes out once a month on the last Friday of the month. And it kind of like this show, it gives you a recap of the world of rock and roll books and documentaries. It features the top 5 list, and the top 5 list is a rotating list as we go through the year. So it's kind of a resource for somewhere where you can go to when you say, okay, I'm looking for a new rock and roll book. What's those books that Big Rick was talking about? Here's a list of them. Here's a current top 5. It also talks a lot about new releases that are just announced and gives you insight on the giveaways that are happening. Speaking of that, I want to do a shout out right now to Gary E., who just won the Chris Stein memoir, Under a Rock. Gary E., congratulations. You're going to love that book. It was really cool. So I get a chance every now and then to give out books. So far, I've given out Rush at 50, Robin Hitchcock's great memoir, 1967, and then now this Chris Stein book. I've got an announcement coming up in a few weeks about the next book that's going to be given out. So if you want to get in on that and all the book buzz and doc news, just send me an email at info@rocktalkstudio.com. Say, Big Rick, send me the blast, and I'll hook you up. Let's talk rock and roll books. And I'm going to start with one that I'm reading right now. It's Lollapalooza, the uncensored story of alternative rock's wildest festival. The book comes out March 25th, features over 200 interviews. Again, I just started this up, and I'm really enjoying it. Interesting origin story of this festival. I can't wait to get deeper into it. I will definitely do a whole show about it and review this one for you. You know when you start a book and it's really good and it just grabs you? This one feels like one of those books. I look forward to talking more about it, and I look forward to reading the rest of it. I think you're going to really like this book. There's so much deep history in this one. This Lollapalooza book, again, comes out March 25th. Let's see, what else do I have for you today? Oh, the new Brian Wilson book called Smile, The Rise, Fall, and Resurrection of Brian Wilson. On February 20th, 2004, Wilson played a show in London where he unveiled his long-delayed masterpiece, Smile. And this book is an oral history of one of rock's most revered records, the Smile record. It looks closely at the events of 1966 and 67 when he was putting it together and when he was writing it, and then the 2003, 2004 time when he was performing it. What I found really cool about this is that the author draws on in-depth interviews with Brian himself and collaborator Van Dyke Parks and some of Brian's bands. So you're going to get a really inside story of Smile. If you're into the Beach Boys, into Brian Wilson, this book comes out on April 15th. And here's a title I'm really excited about. It just got announced, and this book is still a long way from coming out. But they announced it, and I want to tell you about it because I'm fired up about it. And that book is about the Cars. The book is called The Cars, Let the Stories Be Told. And one of the main reasons why I'm really pumped about this one, other than hearing about the Cars, is that this book is written by Bill Janovitz. And Bill wrote the absolutely amazing book, Leon Russell, The Master of Space and Time's Journey Through Rock and Roll History, a tremendous story with so much detail. That is a captivating book. The amount of research in that book is just amazing. I highly recommend this book. I recommend this book all the time to a lot of people. A great work. He's a great writer. So I'm banking on getting the same type of work from Janovitz on this Cars book. There's really, I don't know of a lot of stuff out there about the Cars. So I'm looking forward to getting this one. Going to have to wait some time, though, not until October for the new Cars book, Let the Stories Be Told. All right, let's take a quick break, and I'm going to finish strong with 2 new releases that have already jumped to the top of the list of the best rock and roll books I've read in 2025. So here's something cool that I found that I want to pass along to you. You know I like to do shout outs to other rock and roll podcasts and newsletters to turn you on to the cool stuff that I find out there. But today's shout out goes to an internet radio station called Mad Music Radio. Mad Music Radio is a small cluster of 5 internet-only commercial radio stations that brings you fantastic music 24 hours a day. They also publish stories at least twice a month on Patreon, Substack, and the Medium platforms. Mad Music Radio, tunes and tales too good to be ignored. And I'm not ignoring it because I really like it. They've got rock, oldies, Grateful Dead, and blues stations. I just turn it on and I let it play throughout the house. It's like radio I remembered radio to be. I found it on Substack because they also create that great newsletter, Mad Music Radio. You can find the radio station on the MyTuner radio app in the Apple Store or in the Google Play Store. I'll also put a link to their website in the show notes. If you like non-commercial radio that offers a bunch of variety, Mad Music is a place to start. Okay, here comes the strong finish I was talking about, and that is because coming up in the next couple weeks are episodes about 2 books that I've read so far, and both of these books are amazing. I've talked a little bit about them on the show, and I've been dying to talk about them for a while. The first up is the Mike Campbell book, Heartbreaker. Mike Campbell of Tom Petty and the Heartbreaker. It's his memoir. He wrote it with the help of Ari Sertival. And this book, I'm telling you, it's going to blow the minds of every Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers fan. It is so, so good. It is so deep. It is so personal. Again, it's coming up in a couple weeks. I don't want to get too far into it, but I'm really looking forward to that one. And this one, the book that I've been waiting 40 years to read. I think I've talked about it a little bit on the show. If you know, you've listened to the show, you know I'm a big J.Geils fan. But Peter Wolf of the J.Geils Band's memoir, Waiting on the Moon, Artists, Poets, Drifters, Grifters, and Goddesses is coming out in March. So I'll be talking about that in the next 2 shows. These are 2 shows you don't want to miss. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Love talking rock and roll and giving the scoop on new titles. Remember, if you want to get that monthly Rock Talk Studio blast, just shoot me an email. I'll put my email address in the show notes. All right, let's tear it down, pack it up, and head on down the road. I'll see you next time in the Rock Talk Studio.